This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone who is joining us. We will start in a minute or so, just to let everyone to join. Okay, I guess we are at 4 p.m. So I will start with some housekeeping while everyone is joining. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Introduction to Data Management with Sage Campus webinar. Before we kick off, a bit of housekeeping. Please check your visual and audio settings for the webinar from your control panel. And if you're having any issues, try rejoining the webinar. Should you have any persistent issues, please pop your question in the question box and my colleague will get back to you. The session today is being recorded and the recording will be emailed to you later this week with a few of handy links for Sage Campus as well. And do feel free to share the recording with your colleagues. If you have any questions during the presentation, please pop them in the chat box. And now let's kick off. In the registration survey, a lot of you actually mentioned that you're not very familiar with Sage Campus. So what is Sage Campus? Sage Campus supports the teaching and learning of skills and research methods through structured online courses. At the moment, we have 34 online courses on our platform. Our online courses are self-paced, instructor-led, comprising an engaging mix of trusted Sage quality content, including video, interactives, and formative assessments. All courses have a clear curriculum, learning outcomes, and a completion certificate at the end. Faculty can confidently assign the courses knowing that they have been expertly crafted to meet their needs. And students and researchers can learn autonomously to improve their learning outcomes or prepare for the future career. Sage Campus covers all stages of academic study. So there is something for everyone. You can see our content pathway, and it is designed to focus on tricky skills and research methods that are required across all stages of academic studies. From undergraduates looking to critically assess information, to more advanced students needing help with dissertation or analyzing data, right through to early career researchers looking to get published in a journal. And today we're joined by our wonderful course instructor, Dr. Alessandra Vigilante. Dr. Alessandra Vigilante is the instructor on our new course, Introduction to Data Management. So I will stop sharing my screen and give the floor to Alessandra.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to launch this amazing module. It's been lots of fun to create it, and it was actually my first experience with Sage Campus making a module, and it was a great experience, and I really hope that you guys are going to enjoy it. So I prepared a few slides just to give you an overview of the course, but also to introduce myself, since you're going to kind of like see videos of me during the course. And I think it's always nice to see who is behind the course and who made the material and so on. So who am I? I'm a senior lecturer in bioinformatics at King's College London. I'm based at the Center for Gene Therapy and Regenerative Medicine at the Guy's Hospital. You see here, we are in a very lucky position, just next of the chart. We are on the 28th floor, and this is the view of my office. So it's a very nice place. And what do I do there? I primarily do research. So I'm a principal investigator. I have a group made of postdoc, PhD students, undergraduate students, and we basically we collaborate a lot with wet lab scientists that do the experiments, and we analyze the data of the experiments to understand the molecular mechanism behind stem cell differentiation. I do not do only research, but I also do teaching. And within the university, I do short workshops for postgraduates, so PhD students, postdoc staff. I also do module for undergraduate students. I created one is called Bioinformatics for Biologists at the third year students. And I teach in another module. I'm one of the PI in a brand new program that we are developing that is called Innovation Scholar Program, where we are creating workshops for like artificial intelligence, and I do big data, and then there is also machine learning, and it's for NHS staff, medical doctors, PI, so for different stakeholders. And I'm also a consultant for external organizations. Like, for example, I collaborated with Sage Campus on this module. So I don't know how many of you doesn't even know what bioinformatics is, and I'm not going to, of course, into any details today. I'm just saying something that what it is. It's so nowadays beforehand. So I studied biology, right? I'm a biologist. So I was when I started university, I thought of myself, okay, I'm going to be in a lab with a white coat and I'm going to do experiments. And then I actually, throughout my career, I actually learned that there was this discipline called bioinformatics, where you analyze the data, the results of experiments with computer and computational power. And this is becoming more and more important because now, before in biology, we would look at one gene at a time, one protein at a time, one molecule at a time. But now with the technology that is advancing so fast, we can sequence a whole genome of a person in like few hours. So this means that now you need people that have computational experience to actually handle the data and analyze the data and get the results. And that's what a bioinformatician does. So we use computers, we manage big data, we help people to understand, like we put people together, so people that does the experiments and people that create the tools, right? And so it's important for collaboration and communication. And bioinformaticians also have to be quite problem solving, because they have to understand both the wet lab side and the computational side. And there are the ones that have really computational background that develop algorithms and tools. So they are very like computational. So this actually leads me to the next slide. Why me as the author of the course? Like right now, I'm not teaching anything that has to do with bioinformatics in particular, but data management. Well, why me? First of all, because I'm a researcher and this course is for data management in research. So I'm at a point of my career right now. I'm a senior lecturer. I don't know. I saw that there are people coming from different countries. Here in the UK, a senior lecturer is what in the US, for example, it's called assistant professor. So I've been in different studies of the research career, from undergraduate to PhD student to postdoc. And then I became a principal investigator and supervisor. So I know what it means to be in these different steps of the research ladder, career, whatever we want to call it. So with all the different problems, and in each steps there are things to deal with, in particular when talking about managing data. And also because, as I said, I'm a bioinformatician, and bioinformaticians are basically data analysts. So I know what it means to deal with big data. I know what it means to deal with both quantitative and qualitative data, and I know what it means to basically deal with metadata. And we are going to talk a lot about metadata in the course. So all the documents that describe a data set. So that's why I think I was chosen and asked to make this course, because I understand what it means to be an undergrad dealing with data, a PhD student dealing with data, a staff, a principal investigator, and so on. So why you should take this course? Well, first of all, to learn the importance of managing the data in the correct way. Because managing the data in the right way, it's going to be important not only for your present work, but also for your future work, your own future work, and the future work of your group. So it is crucial, it is essential. To learn the different data management practices, because sometimes we all kind of like make up our own strategies and our own practices. You know, we are used to do something in a certain way, and we kind of like keep doing it this way. And instead, I think this course is just like, it just gives some tips and some do and don'ts of what it means to be, to manage the data properly. And in particular, we give advice on tools and strategies for all different disciplines that will help you to organize the data, share the data, very importantly, avoid data loss, improve communication with coworkers, with collaborations, make your data fair. And I'm going to explain in a second what this means. And we have a whole topic in the module about making your data fair. And in particular, being ethical, because remember that every time you deal with research data and you publish data and you share data, you need to be sure that those data are those results are true. You can trust those data, because remember that not only those results can be the basis of a next research project of from someone else. And if your data are not correct to begin with, then this leads to lots of like not correct data in research. So who will most benefit from this course? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Everyone that is involved in research. And we really made sure that in each topic, we make examples that are made for different roles in a research group, right? We don't only talk about PIs, but we also talk about an undergraduates or a PhD student, so that everybody that follow this course can feel like, can identify itself in the situation and can take something away from it. And it's also both for complete beginners and people in senior roles. We go from very key and basic concepts like file naming strategies, right? To something a bit more advanced, like writing a data management plan for a successful data management of your data. And also, we appreciate, like sometimes, because I'm a bioinformatician, right, I make some examples from my own experience, but I also try to kind of like do examples for other disciplines, because thankfully, most of the strategies and most of the tools are true, no matter which discipline it is, but we also make sure that we do examples for different disciplines. The course is made of 5 modules. Each module is structured in topics, and each topic has a different structure. Usually it always starts with key terms. So just to get you familiar with the key terms that are going to be used in the module, if you're not already. There is some text, but the very nice thing I think of Sage course is that it's not just all written there. It's very interactive. So it's divided in chunks and like kind of like organized. and you click when you're ready to go to the next step. There are videos, and the videos are quite short. We never tend to make very long videos because we understand that it's always good to kind of like give the key messages in a shorter video rather than talk a lot in a longer video. And there are some very interesting challenges. We try to kind of like make different challenges, from like true and falses to drag and drop. So also to have some fun. And I think you have like more attempts in case you don't get wrong, you don't get the right answer the first time around. And there is always a checkpoint at the end. And I think this is very useful, not only for yourself, so you know that you understood exactly what everything, because if you get something wrong, you can always go back and read it better, right? And it's also very good because, as Paulina was saying, some teachers at university might use these courses to actually for the students, and they know that there are checkpoints. So the students have to have understood the topic in order to kind of like pass the checkpoint. So the model 1 is called Understanding the Different Data Types of Research Data. And we thought that this was the best way to start because, again, there are different types of research data because there are different research topics. And as soon as we start the module, we describe the importance of documenting the research. Like just a few slides ago, I mentioned the term metadata. And for those of you that don't know what metadata is, it's basically just a description, a file, right, where you describe all the quantitative data, for example, that are linked to it. And metadata are very important for your future self, because if you have a very good metadata, you won't forget what you're doing. And like, for example, if you stop working on that project and you start working on the same project a year later, you don't forget what you've done, and you know exactly what you've done and what the data tells you. And it's also very good for make your data sustainable and to make it in a way that your collaborators, so that other people can reuse it. So basically we explain why and when to use metadata, and we also give some ideas of how to create metadata. And we also describe the data life cycle, because basically the data from the production of the data to the end of the project have kind of like follow a path. So we go through each step of the path. And yeah, so I think this first model gives you really a very good background of research data. The second one starts more on data management. And basically, here we mention all the benefits of a good data management strategy, who is responsible for data management, because I just said, like, we really try to talk to different people at different stages of careers within a research group. And we try to kind of like outline the responsibility at each stage, where you can find support for data management, how to apply the best practices, so some do and don'ts. And I was just saying how to be fair, right? And fair means make your data findable, because people, if you want to make in a way that people can use your data, they need to find your data. So findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So we explain exactly what each of these principles means, and what you can do to make your data fair, and how to actually create a data management plan. And we give suggestion for an undergraduate students or a PhD students, and why it's important to make a data management plan for them, but also about like for a PI and how to create a data management plan to get money, to get funded. The third one is planning a data management strategy. So we go more into the tools, support, guidance, how to make sure that you use the correct file name strategy, and how you make sure that you always control the version of your files, the use of electronic lab books or collaborative research in the collaborative research process, like, for example, and we go from, if you do wet lab, or you do computing, or you do, I don't know, social sciences, or you do psychology. So really, we try to give different examples in different disciplines also in this case. In the fourth module, we talk about storage. And I think this is a very important topic, because so many times people lose the data because they don't do enough backups. And so I don't know how many times I mentioned backup in this module, so I apologize in advance. But it is important to backup data. And not only just backup, but also if you are within a research group, we also talk about the responsibility that each other we have about the backup. Each one of us has to know who is in charge of what was the latest backup done. We talk about the importance of doing backup on a physical hard disk, for example, to a physical machine, to a cloud machine, because so in the sorry, not cloud machine, but on the cloud. So basically you can access your backup from wherever you are. So we give different tips also on backups. We talk about data integrity and why it is important, and sensitive data, because sometimes, people might deal with sensitive data, and examples are patients' data, right? But not only. The fifth model is it's all about sharing, because I think that when we talk about research, the basic principle, if research can go ahead only if we share our results, correct? So we want to make our results in a way that we can share them, we can trust them, and we can share them. So basically, why it's important, we explain why it is important to share the data, both for personal growth, right? I think in most of the disciplines, you have to kind of like prove that you have got results and you've published results, how you can protect your own data, and what's the difference between different copyrights, licenses, open access, and restriction of the data. So these are just some screenshots. Like, for example, this is the first module, and it always starts with an introduction, when we just give an introduction of the module, so you know what it looks like. As you can tell, like, that we try to always keep a tone a very nice tone, very friendly. It's not boring to read through. You will always know what that module will help you, like what are the learning outcome of the module, so what you can expect. And then there are the topics, and then it's very nice because for each topic you don't have to do it straight away or in the order. Like I suggest to follow the order, because the order kind of like has a meaning, but you can actually skip one and going back to that one at another point, and you can see that there is the bar telling you how far along you went in that topic, and then there is the checkpoint. But we can explore the course just to have a look. So you'll see it gives you an overview, the learning outcome of the whole module, a bit about myself. And you can download the course resources, and these ones are mostly for all the exercises. You can take, and this is actually very good to take a pre-course self-assessment quiz, and then you can start. That is module 1, module 2, module 3, until module 4, 5. And then we have a section just for key terms. And then you can take a post-course self-assessment, so you can compare the pre-one and the post-one and get excited, because you will see how much more you gained, right? Talking about knowledge, and then you can get your certificate. And then it would be great if you give us a feedback, so we can get better and better in making these courses. So if we just like click on module 1, for example, you'll see that it says that it's in progress because I've already started it. And as I said, it always like give you the key terms. And then, for example, here we are talking about the data life cycles. And like, for example, here you can like click, as I was saying, it's kind of like interactive. So you can click on each step and read about it instead of just having a page talking about the data life cycles. We say, okay, so from this, what's really the message of it? And then see also this one is, for example, interactive. There are different steps. So you read the steps in chunks. And then like these are like some activities. It's just to think about it, right? So for example, here we give you some scenarios, and you read the following statements and then identify the steps of the data life cycle being discussed, for example. So you have to make the right put them in the right order, and you can, as you can see, you have different attempt remaining and so on. And then you know, so that's the type of like it's very interactive. So I think it's like very nice to look at. And then yeah, and I'm done. So I'm very happy to kind of like get questions now if you have any. I stop sharing for now. And
thank you so much, Alessandra. That was really exciting. And you mentioned about various sorts of activities and modules within this course. Do you have one favorite module or activity that you really loved working on?
Let's see, this is difficult. So I think I quite like making the activities in general. I really liked one where it was like kind of like a drag and drop activity where I think we were like talking about how to structure a data management plan, right? So the data management plan is made of different sections. So there is going to be a section about administrative information, a section about metadata, a section about how the storage. So how are you planning to store the data during, after the and so on. So basically we gave these different sections, and then we gave some informations, and people have to kind of like drag and drop the different information in the right section. And I think that's very nice because then you really, and there are some very straightforward, but some that are like, where can it be? So, you know, it's kind of like fun. Or like there is another one where we give scenarios, real life scenarios, like, you know, this person is a PhD student and is in this situation and doesn't know what to do, and you know, and then the student has to kind of like give so I think those are my kind of like activities that I like the most. In terms of module, that's a bit difficult because I don't know, because I made it, but I liked all of them. But I think what it's the one that is very useful, I think it's both the one about storage, and I think also the one about because I think it's not as straightforward. Sometimes people doesn't really know about copyrights and license, the difference between copyright and license. And it's not so, sometimes there is such a tiny difference that can be misinterpreted, or like when to put open access and, you know, which type of like restrictions you can put. So I think I think that's very useful.
Thank you. Really exciting and really interesting. And as we have a lot of teachers and lecturers here, and some of them might have never used an online course in their teaching. Could you please tell us what the benefits are of teaching this particular topic as an online course rather than just assigning a textbook to students or sharing a video with students?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I think that this is not like online courses are becoming the future. And this is true. It was already true before COVID, but now it's becoming more and more real. And, you know, beforehand, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, I do lots of workshops, short workshop for postgraduates and so on. And now we're making this exciting program for medical doctors. And we were always doing it in person. And of course, there are always pros in doing, you know, workshop in person, but now it's all online. Because I think, you know, people like to kind of like having time of doing in their own time. And But I think this one in particular, a textbook would be boring, because so many times people associate data management with, okay, this is boring, right? Because it's something that we have to do, but we don't really want to pay attention to it. Some stuff seems kind of like, yeah, of course I have to bake up, right? You don't need to tell me that I have to do a backup. But then there are so many things around the backup, and then people read it and they're like, oh. Instead, the way it is structured, it's very interactive, and you can learn without also having fun also with the activities. The videos are short. Instead of if how can you make a 4 hours video or 3 hours videos that would be super boring. So I think it is a way to make fun, entertaining something, any topic basically, and people can do it in their own time.
Sounds great, thank you. Listening to your presentation, my main takeaway is to have backup to everything. Backups to
Yeah.
everything. Are there any other key practical takeaways that you can offer to our attendees that they can just go away and apply straight away?
Yeah, I think being organized since the beginning of each project, like, okay, I'm starting a project, I create a folder for that project, and I give a sensible name to that folder, and I create subfolders, and then for each file in each folder, I give very sensible name that have a meaning, and that even if I go back to it in a year, I can search for that folder because I gave a name that makes sense. Be organized within, when you deal with quantitative data, be organized within the your, I don't know if you use Excel, for example, within your Excel spreadsheet. Give a sensible name also to each column, and create a metadata file, either as an extra spreadsheet within a worksheet within your spreadsheet that explain what the meaning of each column. Again, because you always want to think, okay, if I give this file to someone else, can they understand it? If I open this file in a year time, 2 years time, can I understand it? Be very ethical. Every time you work on something, think, can I trust this data, right? And this is, and when you create, and it's very important to think about data management before you're starting your project, because it will save you so much time. You have to think, how many data am I going to create? Where am I going to store this data? Do I have enough funds to store the data, or my PI has enough funds to store this data? And where am I going to upload the data once they're done? Is there, a repository? And if I already know which repository I'm going to use, do they already have a structure I should follow? Because otherwise you waste time. You make your data in a certain format, but then you find out that they need another format. So don't waste your time. Your time is precious. It's very valuable. So start from the beginning to be with a good data management plan.
Sounds great. Sounds like a motto for life. Does anyone have any other questions? I don't think I can see anything on the chat, and I think Marcella answered.
I have one for Alessandra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since you were mentioning, thank you, was very insightful to see how useful it is for any stage of the academic life. And there is a question about a person who is a beginner. So do you have any advice for those who no prior experience handling data and with doing research, who are just starting now, before taking a course and starting the university? Anything they could start reading about beforehand, or
before this course?
Yeah, just no experience. Do you have any tips or advice?
So first of all, you really do not need any experience to follow this course, because it really start from the beginning, and we always make sure that we put key terms, and we don't use a language that is giving we try not to give for granted that people should know something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is actually for beginner. Like I can see an undergraduate students following this course. And of course, there are going to be some sections that are not, that you might think, okay, no, this is not for me actually, because I'm never going to apply for a grant right now. But everything else is all fine. And I think that actually is perfect for undergraduate students, someone without experience, because you can start from the beginning to have good, because sometimes what happens is that you have bad habits, you start having bad habits, or managing it in your own way, and you just keep going with it. And it's very difficult to kind of change your habits during later on. So it's actually, I think, even better.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah. There's one more. Is there any software to store data, or do you use any software?
So I use, because my company, like King's College, we have the Microsoft, subscription. So we use a lot OneDrive. Okay. So because it's, we have the cloud, and we can share it within people within the same collaboration. I can access it everywhere. So I use lot OneDrive, but for big data, I have a NAS. It's kind of like an external disk. And imagine that basically each disk is 1 terabyte, and I have 2 copies of each disk. So basically on one, I do the backup, and then the other one is the backup of the backup. Okay. Because in case the backup breaks up.
Yes.
So yeah, so I think both on external, so there are these external disks that have you can put of course it depends right on the budget. So you can use, the small external disk that you can just put on the on your computer. Then there are these ones that are also Wi-Fi, so you can actually connect it to it from your computer from wherever you are. So they are physical, but in a way you can also access it from wherever you are. Or there are the cloud one, like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. And you can pay for your personal allowance and it's not much, very expensive, or you can ask your PI to buy one. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I think it's a good tip for personal files as well, how to store everything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So many times, we cannot trust a computer.
Exactly.
Right? At some point, it's just not going to reach on one day, and we don't want to lose our stuff. As I said, our time is valuable. So
yes, definitely. Thank you, Alessandra.
Yeah.
Paulina, I have just one question for you regarding campus. Are there any plans, because it's a digital? I lost the word for that. It's a digital just by institution. Is there any plans for individual access?
We used to have Campus as a B2C platform, but we've made a decision to move to institutional business model. So now Campus only works as a digital platform for institutional purchases. So libraries can subscribe to Campus or purchase Campus to get access to all 34 courses that we currently have on the platform, including Alessandra's course, Introduction to Data Management.
Perfect, thank you. I do not see any other question.
Okay, then I guess we'll finish the webinar. So thank you so much to Alessandra. And I hope that everyone goes and explores the new course, Introduction to Data Management. Thank you to all the attendees. I'm just going to share my screen once again to let you all know that you will receive a recording, and one of my colleagues will contact you and share some extra information about Campus, and you can also get in touch with them if you have any other questions, or if you want a trial for your library, or you want to recommend Campus to your librarian. So thank you again, everyone, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, thank you.